a slightly more cohesive Liberty Whispers with another Monday Mix video for you guys. If this is the first time that you are experiencing a Monday Mix video and you're wondering what it's all about, well, it's very simple. It pretty much does as it says on the tin. Every Monday I give you 6 recommendations, 6 artists, 6 songs that I really like, and kind of just recommend stuff. And you know, if you like stuff I recommend, then that's great. I know some people have kind of come across new artists that they didn't know of because of a couple of my videos, and that's pretty much the aim of it. It is to just kind of put some stuff out there, a lot of stuff you may have probably heard, but you know, on the off chance that you haven't heard it and you go check it out and you find that you really like it, then that's cool. After all, this whole community is all about sharing, and just sharing some songs that I dig with you each week. It's very simple, very easy, and it's quite fun. I must admit, I do like going on the hunt for 6 songs to recommend you guys each week. As always, the links to each song will be down in the swimsuit area, aka the description box down below. So if something seems to be your kind of bag, or it sounds quite interesting and you want to check it out, I will have graciously provided the link for you down there in the swimsuit area. So the first song that I want to put forward for this week's Monday Mix is by the name of Toro, who first became synonymous with the sort of chill wave explosion of about 2 years ago, which is very much, it's kind of hard to describe. Chill wave pretty much is what it says it is. It's just kind of ambient, down-tempo, downbeat styles mixed with elements of new wave music, and yeah, it kind of really took off a couple of years ago. But Toro was one of the artists that was kind of credited for kind of helping the genre boom, but subsequently kind of changed his style a little this year with his second album, Underneath the Pine, which is one of my favourites of the year actually so far, and I would definitely recommend the whole album because it is really good and it's very, very different to his first album, Causes of This, if anyone's actually familiar with him, which I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that are. But the track that I want to recommend you is called Still Sound, and this is actually also one of my favourite songs of the year. This song is actually responsible for a whole music project that I have been working on myself on and off through the year, because I was just really kind of inspired by the sound of this record. It has a very kind of sleek, smooth 70s kind of funk to it, with elements of disco, and it kind of just put me in the mood to kind of shift gears and go from making what was previously pretty kind of dark and almost melancholy music to something more lighter and with a bit more brightness in it, a bit more kind of colourful sound. So this whole song kind of just inspired me to try my hand at doing a sort of roller disco project, I've called it. Just a bunch of songs that you may be likely to hear back in the 70s at like a roller disco. So yeah, check it out. It is just a really good upbeat track that I just love. Just real kind of fun, funky, colourful kind of beat to it. Very good stuff. The second track for this week's Monday Mix is by the Velvet Underground, and it is from the album, it's the same, the title is of the same album name, which is White Light, White Heat. A lot of people will know the Velvet Underground for the album The Velvet Underground and Nico, which is a classic in its own right, but I've always kind of had a soft spot for White Light, White Heat, both the album and the track. For the track, it's just kind of got a real sort of dirty, scuzzy kind of groove to it. it's a weird mix because it's kind of got this dirty core to it, with the bass and the guitars. It's kind of just got this dirty, muddy kind of rhythm, but overlaid is this kind of jaunty kind of chorus mixed with honky tonk type piano. It's a strange affair, but it kind of blends and mixes these two opposite sounds really well. And it's just a song that I've always had a soft spot. But I like that whole. I like basically, I'm a sucker for anything by the Velvet Underground. But I've always kind of had a bit of a soft spot for that album because it's kind of the underdog. When a group or musician has a really well-known and kind of cult classic album to their name, a lot of their other material kind of gets not forgotten, but kind of put in the shadows a little bit. So I don't know. I've always kind of felt like it was like the younger brother of Velvet Underground and Nico that was kind of cast aside a little bit. Strange analogy, but anyway, yeah. So go check that out if that sounds your kind of thing. My third pick for this week is by a band called The Love Language, and it comes off the album Libraries, which came out last year, which was another one of my favourites, and it was mainly for this song. This song was one of my favourite tracks from last year. It's called Blue Angel and has a lot of very shiny, shimmery kind of guitar tones to it. It's very simple and very kind of pure at heart, but it has this kind of almost swinging vocal approach. It's really hard to kind of describe how the vocals sound, but it's got a lot of kind of, I guess a good way to describe it would be a lot of quiet soul. It's quite understated, but it's got a good heart to it, and it's kind of got this real sort of sweet demeanour to the whole presence, but just the vocals on this song really kind of sold it to me. So yeah, there you go. That's Blue Angel by The Love Language. Track number 4 for you this week comes from indie / alt / oddball MC MF Doom, who I have only really just kind of got into in the last year, starting with his work with Danger Mouse, with the Danger Doom project. Of course, his work with Mad Villain, with the album Mad Villainy, which is just a must-have for anybody, really. Well, I suppose not anybody. I mean, if you're one of those people that... The thing is with Doom, I encounter a lot of people that don't like rap and don't like hip-hop because of the perception and persona, I guess, the modern contemporary sort of pop culture has put it into this sort of box that it's, you know, gun-toting, drug-dealing, misogynistic, homophobic knuckleheads just spouting nonsense. And don't get me wrong, that is a good share of that, but there is also so much more beyond that. So many artistic and articulate and inventive, creative kind of people in the game that kind of often get kind of pushed aside, and I think Doom is definitely one of those guys that has been... he is more of a cult classic than a bestseller, as it were. But yeah, if you have any kind of those preconceptions about hip hop, I would definitely suggest checking out some of the... definitely recommend checking out Doom, but also checking out some of the other sort of hip hop artists that I've mentioned, you know, in previous weeks. I think I mentioned, The Roots and Most Def on my list last week. I think that was last week. And they're just perfect examples, especially The Roots, because they are an organic group. They actually make all their beats by hand, organically, the old-fashioned way. But anyway, yeah, Doom is great. I've really kind of got into him in the last year. And the song that I want to recommend from you comes from the album Food, which is a album, not so surprisingly, all kind of food-centric. A lot of the tracks are named or incorporate different types of food. and play on that kind of theme. Not a concept album, but definitely a album. Sounding like Scooby-Doo, a album. An album with a theme that runs through it pretty strongly. But the track that I want to recommend from that album and from MF Doom is rap Snitch, Kinishes. I think that's how you say the last bit, or Nishes. One of the two, you'll see it written and you'll be able to pronounce it. But what I love about that song is, one, it's got this guest MC called Mr. Fantastic, who I don't know anything about. I've tried to find stuff out about him, try and find other material of his, but I just kind of seem to run into dead ends. So if anyone's listening and you actually know where I can listen to some more Mr. Fantastic, please let me know, because I really dig this kind of guy's verse on this record. But I also really love the hook. The thing with hip hop is, especially a lot of contemporary hip hop, a lot of the hooks are just kind of wasted and just kind of thrown away, with kind of either nonsensical lyrics or just kind of sugar-coated stuff that just sounds good to kind of bridge between a verse. But with this, what I really dig about it is that the actual hook is really kind of the core to the whole song. The hook basically goes, rap snitches, telling all their business, sit in the court and be their own star witness, which is fantastic, because I mean, just in those two lines alone, it's kind of just plumbing into the fact that it's kind of actually poking a bit of fun at the kind of modern contemporary pop culture definition of hip hop, that they're all sort of drug dealing gangsters, toting guns and talking all like thug life and stuff. The truth is, if that is the case, if that is really what you do and you're living up to what you are, then you are doing yourself no favours, because you're basically just admitting that you are causing drama and and committing felonies on record and kind of giving the feds evidence, I guess. So yeah, I always found that just pretty clever and strangely and blatantly obvious at the same time. So yeah, that's what I dig about him. You know, he kind of comes from a very interesting perspective on many things, but in hip hop in general, you know, he's got a very interesting eye on the way things work. So yeah, that's enough about Doom anyway. What am I doing for time? Let me just see. Oh boy, I'm about to run out, so let's kind of just zip through these last two real quickly. The next track I want to recommend is called Celestica, and it is, I think that's how you pronounce it, I'm terrible with pronunciations today, and it is by the Canadian electronica group Crystal Castles, who I adore Crystal Castles, especially Alice Glass. She just has a magnificent voice and just a great persona. A band I've not seen live, but would definitely put them high up on my priority list to check out live. But anyway, this track comes from their second album, which came out last year, which again, at the risk of repeating myself, was one of my favourite albums last year. Just great electronica music, just so well composed. Again, so creative and inventive. Just absolutely love that group and love that track. And to finish off, rather rushed, I'm afraid, is my sixth pick, which is a track called The Current by a band called Cymbals Eat Guitars, and that comes from the album Lenses Alien, which I just reviewed a few days ago and absolutely really love that record. Great album, and this track is just fantastic. They kind of take a lot of 90s alt-rock influences and kind of just twist them a little bit, and they are seeing themselves just move in different directions. Yeah, really liking that track. And if you are a fan of 90s alt-rock or just good guitar music in general, definitely check out that track. And if you dig that track, check out the album. Definitely worth a listen. Anyway, those are your 6 tracks. As I said, links in the swimsuit area, and if you like them, let me know. And if you have anything that you'd like to recommend me, also feel free to let me know. Until next time, guys, happy listening.